Hello. I'm excited to introduce you to the gentleman beside me. His name is Caelan Wilson. Um, I met him when he was 3 years old, a long time ago, and we got reacquainted on Facebook when I read one of his posts. Actually, I read several of them, and it just blew me away. Um, and so I wanted to have a conversation about not only the poem, but also to highlight the different generations we have here. You know, do you mind if I say your age, Kaylin? I didn't ask
Yeah,
you,
that
or
that's okay. It gives perspective, and it's
yeah,
also, um, you know, we have wisdom from all stages of life, so
yeah,
it's
and that's the part that excited me about this is that Kaylin is 26 and I am 61. So, Kaylin, I've asked Kaylin to read one of his posts and then we'll take it from there. Thank you for joining us.
okay. Thanks for having me, Deborah. It means a lot to be here and sharing this space.
Mm,
Um,
you're very welcome.
so this prose or long poem is called "Finding Meaning in the Cascading Present-Moments We Call Life." When you attempt to resist, attain, alter, change, or desire any circumstance, feeling, or outcome beyond the one that life is offering you in this moment, you are at odds with life and your true nature. You may not realize this, but by imposing a future expectation or preference onto the already perfect moment, you are committing a subtle but profound betrayal of your birthright, which is unwavering peace, joy, contentment, and true meaning. However, when you are able to totally embrace, witness, and be contented by every moment exactly as it is presented to you, you then free yourself of interminable suffering and reclaim these birthrights. But you have to let go first of your personal desires and preferences when they are misaligned with what life is offering you, because they are the underlying driving forces to your internal back and forth tension. For once, let this disapproval of the moment gently, self-compassionately go by the wayside and accept the profound truth that this present moment is all you will ever have in your life. Let me repeat that for profundity's sake.
Mm,
This moment is all you will ever have. Period. Full stop. How you respond to every moment of your life becomes the cumulative quality of your whole life, and whether you resist or embrace it is up to you. If you truly accept this unavoidable reality that every moment becomes your entire life, you will see that being okay with how life's circumstantial cards naturally fall into your lap is your direct passageway to freedom, lightness, peace, and fulfillment. Finally, you have awoken from your discontented trance and realized that you have been born with the most amazing body, mind, heart, and spirit on the most miraculous sentient ball of symbiotic organisms spinning within a galaxy that is light years away from any other sign of a life-sustaining planet quite like Mother Earth. And you are worried about the endless fictitious constructs of proving yourself and the psychological dramas of the human self-improvement game or the self-gratification game. How could you let these insatiable quests of seeking beyond the contentment of this moment get in the way of enjoying the short miracle of this moment on Mother Earth? Well, the choice is up to you, my dear friend. Continue carrying the heavy armor of struggling for a greater version of yourself, a greater version of life beyond this moment. Or let your armor down lightly and allow your true self, the loving witness, to integrate and savor every moment of your entire life. You are the seat of the soul, witnessing 1,000 currents of thoughts, feelings, and experiences, allowing every current to pass through and merge back into the ocean of wholeness, your true self. This is true freedom, to be an integrated human being, presencing, loving, witnessing yourself back into wholeness.
wow, it really is true freedom. It's so beautiful. You know, presence is for me, one of the main things that I like to share with my clients and students, there's all kinds of things we can learn. There's so many wonderful courses out there. But first of all, we can't even learn to meditate if we don't understand what presence is,
Mhm.
you know? And presence shows us who we are. Like you said so beautifully in your poem, it shows us who we actually are, because then we're not in our mind, all the time, and being distracted by life. So let me ask you, you did mention, I'm gonna name drop here. You did mention Michael Brown, his book, Presence Process. Um, and so you did go through that process. Is that one of the reasons this poem came to mind, or prose came to mind?
Good question. It's inspired by an amalgamation of different spiritual mentors in my life. I would say one of those main mentors would be Michael Brown, who was at the beginning of me dropping deeper into what it truly means to be present with the full spectrum of life. And I realized in my spiritual journey before that, there were moments when I was seeking a certain outcome to only honor one half of life, which was maybe the positive experience. And I think what Michael Brown taught me is that, as I spoke about in this prose, this writing, that wholeness is embracing the yin and the yang, the whole spectrum of experience. And we can say that theoretically, but to really live that with integrity, and to trust that every moment is here to serve us. And if we are willing to step back from the noise of the mind, the noise of emotion, and all these different waves of intensity, and create that space in between to watch it and presence it as if it's, as Rumi says, a guest in our home. We're inviting it in for tea, and then sending it's on its way. And so I think Michael Brown was one of the first teachers that showed me that the only way is through feeling through the moment, from one moment to the next, and trusting that my breath and the witness and the one that is me, the perceiver watching everything passing by, is always going to be here, um, and carry me through all those emotional currents of thoughts and emotions and experiences. So, and I'll admittedly, I've been continually humbled by his presence process, the practical guide to presence, because it's not easy sometimes to really feel the full intensity of our being. But when I really allowed myself to embrace that fully, the aliveness that I could feel in my body, and the freed up space to really feel life in its fullness, is incomparable. um, and so, yeah, he's really helped me to kind of, I guess, symbolize the beginning of my real spiritual journey. Um, yeah.
That was going to be my question, actually. So did the presence process, or even, beyond Michael Brown, the other mentors, when you sort of went on this journey of finding the moment, finding presence, did that come before your spiritual journey, or did you start on a spiritual journey and found that presence was something you wanted to experience?
Mm. I feel like I'm privileged to grow up surrounded by people who were true spiritual seekers, in whatever, how you would interpret that. Growing up from a young age in a community, call it an intentional community, call it a community of like minds who were seeking something beyond the mundanity of life. From a young age, I sat in meditations, group meditations, and talking circles, and teachings with older mentors who spoke of this idea of truly being content with life, of basically becoming who we are again, and how we grow up from a young age and forget who we are, and then we come full circle. We have that opportunity to go through a second rebirth in our life. That second rebirth is optional, but it's there for us. And so, yeah, these people have showed me that what presence is, and I guess there's these layers that life guides us through to understand presence, because it can't be fully articulated or named, but we can sort of get out of our own way and let the thinking mind step aside and find different ways of getting into what I call, or what some other teachers call, the seat of the soul, the one who's witnessing um, everything behind us. And there were some other teachers before that really guided me into that place. And then so I would say I had a spiritual awakening when I was younger, where I realized who I was. I came home to that blissful place, and then I found, coming out of that, there was this kind of, the ego grips even harder to this sense of security and certain programmings, and so ever since then it was like, okay, how do I reconcile my spiritual self to who I truly am with this embodied experience of being a human? And I think Michael Brown and my own personal insights in presencing the body, but creating space, knowing we are always the spirit, but we have this beautiful body, and we have the ability to feel, if we're willing to be totally present in the moment where we are now. And so it's a non-linear spiraling journey of many different experiences, and then there's those milestones along the way that we can be grateful for.
Mm-hmm. And that's good to hear that you had this awakening, and then there was this kind of disruption, how the ego, like the way you put it, tends to grasp harder.
Mhm.
Like I I feel that we generally, people that aren't raised like you are, by the way, you were very fortunate, and I know you know that, the way you were raised. But we weren't, a lot of us weren't raised that way. We were raised totally from an egoic place, to constantly being in our head and judging everything and labeling everything and feeling everything and, all this kind of stuff. And so I find it challenging sometimes with clients to help them understand how, in the present moment, all those questions that you're asking me, you will know, you will find out, you know? And so, what would you say to the average person about presence? Like, for instance, I've heard people say, well, I got a job to do, I can't be present, and I understand there's obviously a misconception what presence is. But how do we get from, understanding where presence is, sorry, let's go the other way around, from being human and taken astray with our mind ego to the presence? How do we get, what are the steps, do you think, in this moment as we discuss this, that there are for people to understand?
Yeah, it's that's one of the quintessential questions
I love that
of our
word.
of
Yes.
our current age of, you know Alan Watts called it the age of insecurity, the age of anxiety. We are becoming even more hyper focused on this anxious mind, this monkey mind that has manifested outside of us in our hustle bustle cities. And um, it's this inner outer experience that is really trying to hold on strongly to a sort of a reality that seems real. Um, and we get pulled into our roles at work and our role in family and all these aspects of our lives. Um, but I think maybe one of the places to start is what stays here in this moment as everything is passing by, whether that is as we're walking through the street and we're seeing the cars go by, or we look up into the sky and we see the clouds moving through the clear sky, or the rain comes and then there's a thunderstorm, and then there's that stillness at the end of the storm. All those different experiences come through, but what stays when we feel this maybe overwhelming anxiety that feels like we won't get through it, that there's no end to this turmoil. But there is this simple but profound truth that is sitting there in every moment, that unfortunately some people, acknowledging that many people don't have the privilege of just stopping and checking inside or even knowing that it's there. But that is the awareness, that is the witness. And it can be simply discovered through the analogy of, imagining that we are the sky, watching all of life pass through. If we go to work and we feel all these different emotions of stress, those are the clouds passing through. Those are the feelings that we're feeling throughout the day. Um, but if we can even just take a moment to stop and notice that the witness, the one that is perceiving, um, has a deep stillness in it,
Yeah.
has a certain quality that is unchangeable, and then go one step further and question, can I watch this perceiver? Can I get even further back, or is there any other part of myself that can go further back than the witness? And we realize that no, that is the final place that we reside. That is our true self, and that follows us through every waking moment of our lives. That
Yeah.
when we witness, um, and we notice that even at face value, everything is transient, whether that's 1 second or a whole year or a whole lifetime. It's just a cloud that's passing at its own time. And so it takes this moment of like checking inside to see what is that one aspect of who we are that's always there,
Mm-hmm.
and noticing that like integrity comes from truly integrating every experience through that, and knowing that um, we are still the witness, that can create enough space for any experience that it has infinite space. It's our mind, it's those other beliefs that think that, oh, I can't hold all this stress, but it's simply knowing that we can, that it's enough to just watch it
Mm-hmm.
and to not add any extra label, or um, forgiving the labels and judgments and the things that we think that we should do, to just let ourselves be here in this moment, and notice from a neutral place.
And I suppose there has to be a desire in the first place to know that quintessential beingness, you know, and more and more people now, especially over the past couple of years, are looking for some answers. They're feeling so stressed. I had a client this morning, and she was just beside herself with, being a mom of a young boy who has some mental difficulties, and just to find that moment for peace.
Mhm.
But there does, I feel that just in this moment, I feel that there does need to be that desire to look for it in the first place, you know,
Mhm.
instead of constantly looking outside of ourselves for answers when all that we need to know is right here, right now.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that the simplicity is frustrating when people are in their mind. What do you mean if I just have to love myself, I can change the world? What do you mean if I just learn to meditate, I can, I won't have emotions or drama in my life? It's just too simple for people to understand that,
Mm.
right? And I'm talking from personal experience. I'm not just, talking about other
Yeah.
people out there. It's
Me too. Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
that's the thing. There needs to be that desire, like that push, that willingness to have some discomfort sometimes, I one experience comes to mind right now is when a dear friend died and I missed her terribly.
Mhm.
And I thought, oh crap, she's going to teach me how to grieve. I just know it. And I thought, okay, I'm going to learn this. What does it mean to really grieve? What is the energy of grief? And I just let that idea go. And then one day I was doing the dishes and my mind took over and I thought, oh, I was thinking of talking to her. And then I realized she wasn't there. And this wave came through me because I had this intention to learn about the energy of grief. And this wave came through me and I just allowed it. It even took my body to the floor and I just allowed it. And the tears, it was just so intense, Caelan. And I remember she was young at the time. My daughter came into the room, and that distraction, she was worried about me. She says, "Mom, are you okay?" And when I saw her, I just realized I really am okay. I just got up from the floor and carried on, and I really was okay. I noticed that wave afterwards. I go, "How could I be okay? I was so intensely sad and crying and snotting and everything." And then I look back at the experience, and I realized because I allowed that energy just to move through me. I didn't fight it. I accepted it. It was intense sadness, but it just went through. It doesn't mean that I didn't have sadness after that at different times. But I will tell you that sadness shifted later on because I started to see it simply as energy. And so there could be times now where I will feel an energy like that and I hardly move. It's just like, whoa, okay, there's some sadness going through me. And I find that is what presence helps us with because we get so familiar with the movement of energy through our stillness, right? And I got a smile on my face because I was remembering the last little bit of your poem had something about that. But that stillness brings that clarity. You know what I mean? That stillness reminds us that we have this inner wisdom. All the wisdom of all the universe is inside of us. And we have all that, all the answers and everything inside of us. And it's only stillness that can teach us that. Like you say, because the stillness gives us the opportunity to witness. Stillness gives us the opportunity to see our crazy, wonderful human side. I laugh at myself all day long sometimes because of, you know, like the silliness we had happen earlier trying to go live. It's like, okay, it's really not a big deal. I don't get angry anymore.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say I don't get angry anymore. I don't have as much angry moments. Sometimes I'm just like, ah, and then I notice it and I'm back in the presence and it just shifts everything, you know?
Yeah.
And so one of the reasons I wanted to have this conversation with you is because you do embody this, you know, in this moment. And I can feel it from you. I'm an intuitive. I feel people all the time, right? And so I thought, well, how can we get this information out there in a way that will really help people understand that finding the present moment, first of all, acknowledging the present moment. There is such a thing, like the right here, right now, where infinity is, where all our power is. There is no past, there is no future. All that is here in the mind that we were given when we got a body, and the mind and the body, when it's time to go, will be gone. But that energy, that presence, that divinity, that quintessential beingness is always there, even when we leave our bodies.
Mm.
And so this is a very powerful state. And one of the things in my sessions, I do these channeling and I have these beautiful beings that come through, and they tell me over and over again for my clients that this is a time where we can walk in human form and be aligned with God, source, creator, whatever you want to call it, at the very same time. There's only been, a few people in the history of the earth that could do that. You know what I mean? And we can do that now. And that excites me, that more and more people are waking up to their own divinity, their own presence.
Yes. Yeah.
And even as I say this, Caelan, I'm thinking, well, how we do it is exactly by doing it.
Yeah.
Is it something that we can teach? Is it something that we can help people understand, except for just embodying it ourselves? What do you think?
That's a good question too. You're full of good questions
Okay.
today. Yeah, I think that it is a little bit of both. And it's also a great mystery that I don't know the full answer to.
Mhm.
I think that first and foremost, when we embody that ourselves, we create the fertile ground for others to, when they are ready, in their own, destined path, to discover that as well.
Nice.
And there's something mysterious about when we truly learn how to, even just take a little bit step further in loving ourselves or presencing ourselves, or then carrying that out and loving everything around us, presencing everything around us. There's this invisible thread that connects all of us. Call it the collective consciousness, or quantum physics calls it the field of all potentiality, the realizing that really truly matter does not exist, and everything is energy, the space in between, and this body that seems physical but is really are these vibrating electrons of energy. And just noticing that when we presence ourselves, we are affecting the whole field of energy, everything around us. And I think that is true integrity, to come into that wholeness in ourselves by embracing life in this moment. And I think that it begins with the heart as well, because when we are able to feel what it is like to open our heart, bringing back to the analogy of the sky and the clouds passing through, that sky is open and spacious in the same way that our heart can be open and spacious for the moment to exist as it is. And in any moment we are given this choice point. When we, I don't know, when we go to work, or you and I, we try and start a Facebook Live, and or whatever stressful experience we have in our life, or maybe our partner, so commonly triggers these deep emotional charges inside of us, the things that bring up reactivity. We have a choice point in that moment to sort of take a step back and either get absorbed into the reaction, or to take a step back and watch, and then create that space in between for the reaction to pass by.
Right. And so the thought came to me, then we have to understand that there is a moment to choose. There are lots of people that don't understand that. The busyness clouds their perception of the present moment. So really understanding, and the only way you can do that is to have the experience of the breath and the present moment.
Yeah, I think we've become absorbed into this, this consumer culture, this very busy Western culture that is, addicted to filling every moment with stimulation, and to be as productive as possible. And that's trained us to try and just push forward from, let's just push to the next moment. But simply whatever way that is for each person, even if we can take, a minute every couple of hours to check in, or 5-10 minutes to just feel what it's like to simply slow down and pull back and watch, imagining that you're, this bird's eye view flying over your experience, and knowing that you aren't, um you aren't these objects passing through. You are, the one perceiving. To simply check in with that,
Mm-hmm.
through just slowing. What does it really mean to slow down and feel in this moment? There is no expectation to accomplish anything. I think that is truly a radical act in this time that says push forward,
Oh, yes.
and you're only worthy if you're productive. Well, our true self says the complete opposite. You are worthy just by being. We are human beings. I mean, I know people have said that it's cheesy, but it's true. We are, human beings, and, the human doings that we have are, extra on our life, but they really shouldn't be something that, causes us this sense of resistance and tension. Like, if we are human beings, we are, um, taking those moments every day to slow down and realize that we are living in a miracle every day.
Exactly. And that's the answer. Slow down. And so when these lockdowns started, almost 2 years ago now, my first feeling was, oh my God, the universe is intelligent. It's telling us to go to our rooms and think about what we've done.
Hmm.
And
Time out,
so,
everyone.
yeah. So slowing down is the first step to just, about a year and a half, I'm not sure, maybe 2 years ago, I had a very bad sprain in my ankle.
Mm,
And Caelan, I was so angry for like the first day or two, like just had to lie down. My whole life had to stop. I couldn't work. I couldn't do anything. And the pain was crazy. And then after a couple of days, I realized, well, I just got to slow down. And it's since then, to this day, I walk slower most of the time. I, everything is just in slow motion for the most part, and that's just really been a game changer for me,
mm,
just slowing down,
mhm,
being very, very present. And so, even after all this conversation, I also want to say to people in my groups and my clients that all of this is fine and good, but you don't have to do any of it. You can keep your life the way you want it to, because there is no right and wrong. In this space of presence, there is no right or wrong. There is no time, right?
mm,
Past, there's no past and present. So, I mean, past and future. And so it really is, like you said earlier, it really is a choice. If do you want to choose to be happy? Do you want to choose to experience freedom?
mhm,
Do you want to choose to be more loving and compassionate? Well, that isn't only in the now. It's not in here. It's in here.
mm,
Spending more time from the neck down, and just staying in this beautiful body, present to it. And like you said so beautifully in your poem, this is a miracle. Our heart is beating 24 hours a day for us. Our feet and our legs take us wherever we want to go. We can, enjoy this physical body. And now, because of all these people that are writing these wonderful books and all these webinars and doing all this, bringing this out to our awareness, now we can enjoy this physical body even more by being mindful, by being present, by seeing the miracle of life constantly. How a little tiny seed grows into a magnificent oak tree, or the birds when they fly in the sky and they're all just like going together like this, or the fish in the ocean. There's miracles around us constantly. And so when we can just, like you say, um, take a minute. Like I've told people, set your phone for every hour and just take a minute to take some deep breaths. And then you start to experience those miracles, or see, look for the gold, or magic, however you want to put it. And for me, witnessing that magic, like getting up at sunrise and watching that sunrise. It's different every single day. And it's the energy that moves through me when I see that. I feel so inspired. I feel so alive. Like I feel tingling. Like I feel like if I put my hands out, there's light beaming from it. I just feel so part of everything just by watching the sunrise mindfully, being present, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
simple as that.
It is, you know what? It is really that simple. I'm a simple gal, so I can embrace simplicity. But I do understand that there are intellectuals out there that really have a hard time with simplicity. But I do feel the truth is that simple. However, if you do not choose this path of presence, of connecting to your own divinity, it's okay.
Mhm.
It really is okay. Whatever you choose, it's okay. And in what's going on right now out in the world, it's not that I want to talk about it, but everyone, whatever they choose is fine. Accepting that, in that acceptance, you're in the present moment. In that loving and being compassionate for someone else's choice, even though it's not yours. That's loving and being present in the moment and connecting to your true God self. um, I like to quote a guru. I used to go to his ashram, but he was deceased at that time. And he actually came to me in a near death experience. I don't know if I told you about that. His name was Swami Muktananda. And he would say, God dwells within you as you.
Mm.
And so you can say God, source, creator, whatever. But when you start to get a sense of that, it is really that simple.
Mhm.
Embracing the simplicity of life when you have little kids. When you're a parent of little kids, life is simple. Changing diaper, feed, nap time, embrace the simpleness of life. And then those answers that we're seeking come. And then we don't even have those questions anymore. Those questions kind of seem to dissipate. I notice in my life that I write notes and I have my calendar and I got to follow it. And sometimes I worry that I'm going to forget something. And then I notice that I stop worrying that I'm going to forget something. But I do notice that, oh, I didn't write this down. It's not something that I had in my head, but it's flowing. It's exactly what I needed. And the next moment and the next moment and the next moment, it just unfolds beautifully when it's supposed to. Right? It just unfolds. And when it doesn't, it just means stop and go in different direction, different perception, different angle, right? And that simplicity gives me such comfort, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well said.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I think that when when we truly see that this yeah, this simplicity is all we ever need. Um, I mean, whatever we are experiencing in our life is all we ever need, whether that's simplicity or the simplicity of someone's complexity. That sounds a little bit semantical, but um, when we just see that we don't need to add any more to our experience, that as soon as we start to think like, oh, I need more than I have in this moment, or I need to add something to this moment, we are losing faith with life as it is. And I think that I mean it's kind of this. I think a lot of people think that they're looking for happiness, and that's kind of the foundational premise of this Western society. Like, seek happiness, and eventually you will arrive there. Um, but I think truly what people want is freedom, to
Yes.
feel free from it all, and that freedom comes from knowing that we can, like, instead of trying to let it all go to be happy, um, we can simply just let go. um, my friend told me that the other day, of like, she was noticing that if you say let it go when you're trying to, let go of anxiety, it's like you're pushing up against it. But that subtle difference between let it go and just like let go.
And so I want to take that a little further. When we become present, there's no letting go necessary, because presence, the letting go, it happens for you. It's not like you have to do it.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
it's sort of saying the same thing, but realizing that it's not an action, it's a being.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a being. That's what that's referring to as well. And um, I'd also like to offer, I think, a very sacred affirmation that has been spoken in Christian texts and other by other gurus and spiritual teachers. This was the affirmation that actually brought me my first um, spiritual awakening experience of feeling this deep peace that's always here. And my my teacher, my spiritual teacher that I grew up with in this community, he invited me to receive this, and simply I just closed my eyes and he spoke. He invited me to speak this to myself. And the affirmation was, "Be still and know I am God." And when I really felt that, when I was really, discovering that, okay, I am, and not receiving it on a mental level, but receiving it from a place of just hearing it and feeling the sensation of what that is.
Mm-hmm.
And then he invited me to speak, "Be still and know I am."
Mm-hmm.
And then I took that in. And then he invited me to speak, "Be still and know, be still, be." And then from there was just silence. And in that moment, I could simply trust that all I ever need to do is be still and know this truth. Um, yeah, I it kind of takes me beyond words
Yeah.
when I
Yeah.
come into that place.
Yeah.
Um, and I find it's helpful for people to just, when they're hearing a sacred affirmation like that, to simply just receive it and let it permeate, um, and not be attached to any expectation, um, to step outside of seeking the journey of seeking, and um, and see what subtle transformation can happen, that we'll just switch to another perception. And then at that point, we don't know if we've put effort into it ourselves, or it's just a matter of, like you said, our desire to truly um, slow down and receive, and let go of this, seeking happiness, and really feeling what freedom is, to be still
Mm-hmm.
in this moment. um,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, and
And
then
there's
yeah.
go ahead.
And I was just going to say, and then that from that point of stillness, we can simply enjoy life. Like, there's no longer this fighting with life, and we can actually see that every moment can, be not a pleasant experience in terms of always feeling like, um this kind of the emotion of calm or relaxation, but this more subtle peace and stillness um that we can actually appreciate, like you said, the quality of grief and the quality of yeah, of feeling overwhelmed, of um and knowing that even if we don't feel like we have held presence in those moments, that true self is already holding everything in love. We can't get away from that. And as many people who've had near death experiences have attested to this, is that we come from love and we return to love, and we are in abiding as love in this moment. And so there's that paradox that we can never get away from this, and then we try and just point our attention and bring ourselves um, to really embody and choose
Yeah.
this moment. Mm.
Sometimes I think I want to get rid of the whole idea of spirituality. because it's kind of labeling it. And a lot of people s- seem to separate it. This is my human life, this is my spiritual life. And instead of saying spirituality, why not just say I'm living? I'm living wholly and fully.
Mhm.
You know, I don't have to, like, there's idea that the spiritual guru is, you know, people that are spiritual have their practice. And I've had people look at me surprised or comment surprised when I tell them that I yelled at my child, or, you know, that I was angry, or something like that. And I'm not like this all the time. I have my life, things happen, right?
Yeah.
How would you, I mean, you work, right? You do things in your life, you have relationships,
Mhm.
and still you have your moments of presence, and you might come in and out of presence,
Yeah.
but unless you've actually been in the present moment, you don't realize when you're in and out of presence. Except
Mhm.
maybe when we first fall in love, we're present more often than we ever were, and then we're being this love, and we're wondering why everything is just so bright and so beautiful. It's because you are aligned with the drive, what I believe is the driving force called love, like you were saying.
Mhm.
And so bringing our conscious awareness to these facts, you know, to realize that, yeah, we're going to come in and out of the moment. But when we are in the moment, let's enjoy it. Let's
Mm.
celebrate it. And then when I find in my experience, when I do celebrate it, it just seems that those moments get longer and longer and longer. And I have longer periods of time in the present moment, in that peace, in that joy.
Yeah.
I can actually have pain or thoughts that are causing me stress and still notice that there is joy inside of me.
Mhm.
I'm not attached to the stress. I know it's there. It's an old pattern. It's, you know, it's there. But now I'm in a place where I just want to feel the joy. I know it's always here, this, or happiness or peace or stillness. But I know, I feel, I sense, I believe that it's always within me.
Mhm.
And I can
Yeah.
choose to go into that stressful past thought. I can choose to get caught up in someone else's pain, or I can choose to feel that joy
Mhm.
and know that it's always there. It's always there. I have tears of joy. You know, people, oh, Deborah, what's wrong? I'm just happy. You know, just,
Yeah.
I'm just really excited right now. I just feel this, you know,
Mhm.
and I have a
And yeah.
passion. I have a passion to let people know about this, Caelan. I really do. I
Mhm.
have a passion for people to talk to people like you and I, that we're just human beings having
Yeah.
our life, and some days are fucking awful and some days are peaceful. um well, I have to say that I have a gamut in one day, because there's not a whole day that it's fucking awful. It's maybe a moment, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's an experience, but because I'm so used to witnessing, I'm going, oh, okay, yeah, I want to go in this direction now. I want to come back
Yeah.
to the moment. And I have, like you said so beautifully, I know I have that choice and I choose peace.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. I truly believe that that is it right there, is returning back to knowing we have a choice. And um and knowing that in my own experience, when I have these experiences of presence, that once I come back to that memory of who I am, and when I awaken to that simple truth, then I can't unknow that. That's integrated in me. And like you're saying, we go through all these stresses in our day-to-day life, and then we just return back to that place. um so it becomes like it cradles our whole life.
Mm,
It's at the beginning and end, and it surrounds that whole experience, and it fills in the spaces in between. um and that's what's so miraculous about it. And there's this mysterious force as we, continue to choose again and again to return to home, return to presence, return to peace. then the momentum builds and we start to feel this, call it spiritual energy or just call it feeling what it feels like to be alive, aliveness. I like that word, because I think everyone can relate to that, like just this felt sense experience of feeling fully alive.
Mm.
um, and and then to know that every time we return back, we become um, yeah, more alive.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
mm.
I could talk to you a lot more and come up with a lot more subjects. I do want to say I enjoy the way you speak and write. There's a beautiful visual. So it sort of gives me all the senses are alive when I hear you speak and
Mm.
when I read your words. It's really lovely. And I wanted to say that out loud.
Thank you. Mm.
Yeah. But I'm thinking that we probably could end here.
Mhm.
But how would you feel about doing this again?
Yeah, I would love to. There's feels like, I mean, these things seem simple, but there's the whole human experience to navigate, and there's still so much there's so much wisdom to be learned from the everyday experiences that we are going through, and the growth and the healing, um and all that other healing work that we're doing behind the surface to sort of let down our walls of resistance to coming back to our home
Yeah.
of presence. And some teachers call that our dharma, the purpose that we have in this life to go through certain experiences. And on one level, we do honor that. We go through the many logistics of our lives, and we have this contract that I believe that we, as many teachers talk about. Um, but I think this is a beautiful place to start, because everything comes from this center, this of presence.
Mhm.
And so I feel really grateful to start here, and then from there to explore together. So thank you for inviting me on, and bringing our intergenerational lived experience together. And I hope that people of different ages can see value in that and feel inspired
Me too.
in their own way.
Yeah. And so what I was thinking is I'm going to post it on my YouTube channel and also on Facebook. And I'm going to suggest that people, after they watch this, if they have any questions, they can pose them and we can answer them on another video until we
Yeah.
learn how to do it live.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll see what life's plan is.
Yeah.
I have no idea. I honestly have no idea. I can't predict. I thought we were gonna have a smooth sailing Facebook Live.
So did
But
I.
life was like, nope. I'm going to humble you. Go back to Zoom.
Yeah. Good old Zoom. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm all tingly all over. I mean, really, I'm just loving this very much. So thank you for doing it, and I look forward to the next time.
Yeah. Thank you, Deborah. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
Mm.
Be well.
Be well.
And I guess you're going away for a week, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, we'll talk when you get back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds great.
And whoever's watching, thank you for joining us. And please do send in your questions. We're happy to have more and more conversations. Be well. Know that you're loved.